You'd been on the road for several days when you came across the cave. Your short time in the wilds of Skyrim had proved unrewarding, but this discovery could be your last chance for coin before you reach the next hold. The rocky opening echoed with an unsettling energy, but the hope for treasure down the dark passage urged you to take a chance and enter. Before long, you reach a large opening, dimly lit by fire. You hear the unnatural sound of bone against bone as you come face to face with skeletal forms of undead. You swing your axe, knocking free ribs and limbs from the first two. A shout rings from somewhere above you as a black-robed figure emerges. Magical energy crackles throughout the room, and the weapons of the advancing undead overpower you, tearing through flesh. It was a mistake to come here. That much is now obvious to you. With a final flash of purple, you collapse, feeling your very essence draining from you into a dark gem in the necromancer's hand. Your soul is gone. It belongs to the Soul Cairn now. Hello and welcome back to FudgeMuppet. My name is Scott, and today we're taking a trip to the unique plane of Oblivion, the Soul Cairn. The dark and desolate landscape is fitting for a haven of necromancers beyond death. Fearsome undead walk the decrepit structures that dot the plain to ensure those who enter here never see the light of Nirn again. You may imagine that a place as imposing as the Soul Cairn would be lorded over by a Daedric prince, but that's not the case. It is instead ruled by the Ideal Masters, who created the plane in the early Merethic era. This ancient order of sorcerers amassed great power through necromancy and the sale of trapped souls. As their mastery of magicka grew, they were not content with their earthly frames and sought new ways to elevate their power. Through the manipulation of arcane energies, these gifted necromancers transcended to beings of pure soul energy. They entered Oblivion with their cosmic power and selected a piece of unformed chaos to shape into their realm. Using the very patomaic material that formed existence itself, they created the Soul Cairn, an undead haven for the immortal soul merchants. Now that they'd ascended, these beings rarely appeared in physical form. However, when they choose to shift form from omnipresent overlords, they occasionally manifest as soul gems, red or purple, depending on their intentions. The Ideal Masters have an interesting way of viewing both themselves and their plane. The souls that inhabit the Soul Cairn generally aren't willingly placing themselves there. Being trapped here means missing out on whatever afterlife awaited you, which could be a blessing or a curse depending on the life you lived. The Masters believe that the souls pledged to them have a peaceful afterlife on the plane. They see the imprisonment as a blessing bestowed, stripping away the hardships and toil of mortal life for good. While this could be great if you found yourself pledged to a Daedric prince in life, it's easy to see why the majority of those trapped may see things a little differently. The wastes of the cairn would be quite disappointing if, for example, you were a Khajiit, trapped, originally promised to the warm, sugary dunes of the sands beyond the stars. If you're not an undead creature, there is no paradise in the Soul Cairn. The realm created by the Ideal Masters suits their Merethic necromancy origins. Never-ending night cloaks the plain, and blackened ruins dot the surface. The ground is cracked and torn, emitting souls as a misty haze from below. There is little in the way of vegetation save for the dead trees and tall fungus sprouts known as soul husks. The cairn is, however, home to several large landmarks, each associated with death. The Coffin Chapel and Boneyard are eerie places, even for a world of undead, and are often protected by hulking, bone-clad souls. The Keepers are one of the many undead creatures that roam the hellscape. You'll find all manner of lively dead here, some only found in this realm. The Bone Men are skeletons stripped of flesh, imbued with dark, ghostly energy. Instead of bleached bone, their form is dark purple and black, with glowing eyes. Mistmen take the ephemeral form one step further, floating torsos atop a cloud of dark energy. They wield destruction magicka with surprising efficiency. Wrathmen are the most imposing of the realm's skeletal foes, clad in ancient Nordic armor. Their glowing bones are protected beneath this decrepit gear, ready to charge at enemies with axe readied. Many other lesser undead and souls drift throughout the realm, all at the whim of the ancient necromancer overlords. There is one soul in the cairn whose power rivals that of the realm's creators. It's a mysterious force that even the souls of the plane fear, spoken about in hushed whispers as something that watches all. This force is the Reaper, a giant ghostly figure who wears the masked garb of an executioner and wields a fearsome battle axe. He resides in a hidden lair that requires fragments of a Reaper gem to summon, a task not to be taken lightly. Perhaps he may be the Elder Scrolls version of the Grim Reaper, ferrying souls of the dead to his lair in the cairn. The presence of a Daedra heart on his corpse, though, complicates our vision of who or what this being is, implying that this creature is Daedra rather than undead. We can only speculate on his power and influence in Oblivion, as his true origins remain a mystery. This great menagerie of undead in the Soul Cairn is where the Ideal Master's title of Soul Merchants comes into play. Necromancers throughout Tamriel have come to the Masters to strike bargains that would dramatically increase their power. If they were able to commit souls to the Cairn, the Masters may look upon them favourably and lend them armies of undead. It is said that some powerful mages were able to conjure the undead from the realm directly, but such power has since been lost to time. Beware though. Many who try to harness the power of the Cairn often fall prey to the Masters before long. They always get their souls, caring little for who they once belonged to. But not all who exist in the Soul Cairn are in the service of the Masters. In the Merethic era, a vampire lord fled to the plane through a portal with an Elder Scroll. Valerica was strong enough to resist the control usually enforced upon all those who entered the Cairn. The Masters would not allow her power to go unchecked, so she was imprisoned in the Boneyard, and they erected a force field to keep her inside. Through trickery, they found a jailer for Valerica, worthy of her strength. The great dragon Durnavir wanted to increase his station amongst the dragons and made a bargain with the Masters in order to become a true master of necromancy. The price he paid was guarding Valerica until her death, but he was not informed of her immortality as a vampire lord. As we know, the Masters always get their way in this realm. The great dragon was worn away over a millennia, being tethered to this undead heaven, and his body changed as a result. He decayed while living, becoming the horrific-looking beast he's seen as in the Fourth Era. During the Imperial Simulacrum of the Third Era, the Daedric Prince of Destruction, Mehrunes Dagon, launched an invasion into Nirn. The Void Gate in the Battlespire once led to the Soul Cairn, making it a perfect staging ground for Daedric invasion. Much to the displeasure of the Masters, Dagon and his Daedra flooded the realm. The Daedric force had no regard for what the Masters had created, looting their treasures and destroying many of the undead creatures that resided in the plane. Chaos reigned as many of the captives from Dagon's invasion were brought back to the Cairn and executed. The new souls flooded the realm, restless and untethered to the Masters' order. In retaliation, a brave apprentice from Battlespire launched an invasion of their own. They entered the Cairn and freed many of the captured spirits from the Dark Realm. The Ideal Masters conspired to aid the apprentice in their quest, knowing that the onslaught would never stop with Dagon's lust for chaos and domination. They had quickly grown tired of the Daedra marauding through this piece of oblivion that they had carved out for themselves. With their guidance, the apprentice is able to power the Emerald Gates to take the fight directly to Mehrunes Dagon himself in Shade Perilous. This pocket realm was key to the Daedric invasion, and forcing Dagon out of it further cut off his access to Nirn. Having halted the force and freed many souls of the captives, the threat to both Nirn and the Cairn subsided. The Battlespire itself was destroyed in the aftermath of the invasion, severing the link to the Soul Cairn once and for all. While many souls were claimed by the Masters during the years that necromancy was popular under Mannimarco, the realm itself would be fairly quiet in the cosmic scheme of things. After all, Nirn faced many threats in this time. Saint Jib the Eradicator was one of the most notable people to find their soul transported to the Soul Cairn in the years after the invasion of the Battlespire. The trapped vampire lord Valerica would come into play once again in the Fourth Era. The Elder Scroll trapped with her in the Cairn was of vital importance to Lord Harkon's schemes. He wanted to block out the sun and turn Tamriel into a haven for vampires, but Serana planned to stop this with the help of her mother Valerica. The last Dragonborn and Serana slayed the Boneyard Keepers guarding her force field prison, freeing her to fight alongside them. Durnavir turned his attention to the rebellious party to honor his duty as warden. His undead form was killed by the trio, allowing them to escape the Soul Cairn in defiance of the Ideal Masters. Harkon's plot was foiled as a result of their actions in the Cairn. Interestingly, Durnavir rematerialized soon after his defeat to express admiration of the Dragonborn's skill. He asked that the Dragonborn call him back to Nirn for a brief respite from the curse of the Masters. The reward he offers is a piece of the forgotten conjuration magic that would draw souls from the Cairn for use by necromancers. The shout Revaris Zol casts both Soul Trap and Reanimate Corpse at once, a relic of the Merethic era knowledge. The Soul Cairn is unique amongst the dark and varied planes of Oblivion. It's quite an achievement for mere mortals to ascend through the dark arts to shape the metaphysical universe into a haven for the undead. The domain of the Ideal Masters has become a powerful resource for some of the darkest necromancers on Tamriel, watching and waiting for opportunities to increase their bank of souls from the shadows. There we have it, ladies and gentlemen, the Soul Cairn explained. Thanks so much for watching the video. If you enjoyed it, please give it a like, and do head down into the comments and let us know what lore topics you would love to see covered in the future. Subscribe for more awesome Elder Scrolls content. My name is Scott from FudgeMuppet, and I'll be back to nerd out with you again next time.